2021, four men got together to make a radio show that nobody asked for. This is the result.
Welcome to Broad Street Radio. I'm Michael Morris with Johnny Meenach, John E. Cash. I feel like you think I'm saying Johnny, like with a Y.
Oh,
I'm
no,
saying
no.
John E. as in Ernest, period, Cash.
You know, I knew very well what you were saying.
With an E at the end.
Yeah,
so
absolutely,
it seems
with
different.
an E.
I feel like you should start a band.
Called John.
But while
Johnny
you're doing
Cash.
it, you give financial advice. Like, you know, when they do that long solo piece and you're like, invest, diversify, you know, that kind of thing.
I'm going to Jackson to fund my Roth IRA.
There you go. Well, I'm glad we brought this topic up because you know about money, right?
A little bit.
You've seen it.
Enough to be dangerous.
Have you ever seen it? Like, what's the most amount of money you've seen in front of you when there was not a handgun present?
Well, like cash, I don't. But a check, I saw a 1.4 some $1 million check.
What's that even look like?
A normal check with just a lot of zeros.
No, but I mean, is it out of somebody's like purse? You know,
no,
like,
no.
let me
So
write you $1 million check.
It was a client that rolled over their 401k to me, and you know the interesting thing about when you do a rollover, it's fascinating when I talk to clients about it, and it doesn't matter what amount of money it is, it always is mailed to you in a check. Right. So if you have a 401k at Fidelity or Vanguard or wherever it is, it doesn't matter. When you roll that over to another company, they close out the account and they send you a check. And the client is always like, wait, you're going to send me a check for $1.4 million? Yeah. It's no big deal. It's made out to Edward Jones. Nobody else can cash it.
I did that when I rolled one in my 20s, and I think it was like $100 and some thousand. I literally was holding the check and I was like, I might just keep this. Right? I might frame it. Or I might cash this son of a bitch and use it. And then I thought, no, my future depends on me because I'm going to stay in advertising and make no money for a decade.
Okay, at some point I'm going to have a daughter and, you know.
Well, I got to
leave something to her.
There could be some other ones out there. I'm not claiming those because it's kind of like the window. If you drive off, I'm not worried about it. You got your receipt, you go. I'm waiting for that some 20-year-old to show up and like, hey, I'm here, and I'm like, I'm broke. Go back to your mother. And who was she again?
There's no generational wealth here. Get out of here, kid.
I probably didn't tell you the story. All these people were taking this 23andMe thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's this database now, and some kid just showed up on this guy's doorstep. He's 63 years old with no kids. Just shows up. Hey, you took this test, I took this test, and you're my dad.
Wow.
And, my first question was gross. And second of all, like, what do you do at that point?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I want it to happen because I want to see if that kid was cool or if they were a total douche. You know what I mean? Like, if you grew up to be super nerdy and smart, I'd be like, did you play ball at all? Like, this is boring.
Right. Like, you want to do shots? No? Get out.
What if my kid was Ken Jennings and I didn't know? That would be amazing. Well, speaking of kids who show up on your doorstep, here's my question to you. Is it possible in the times we live in now to build generational wealth?
Yes. The only caveat is that here's the problem with our culture as a country. 70+% of our economy is based off of consumerism, which is spending money. When you spend money, that means you're not saving money. So if you're not saving it, you can't build wealth, right? So if you have the discipline to have a plan of, all right, we're going to save X, Y, Z, or another way to do it is if you create something. You create a company, you create a business, whatever, and you decide to sell it later on, that can help build generational wealth. And I know a couple of people who, have sold businesses and their family will never run out of money if they're smart about it. But, like all those lottery winners, they're not really smart.
But see, you know what?
At some point,
I think that's different. Like if you win the lottery, you didn't earn that. You just bought a ticket in it and you happened into it.
Oh yeah. But I mean, imagine if your dad built up a company and sold it for,
I wish he would have got
$30 or $50 million. I
wouldn't be doing this if my dad made better choices.
He should have done something with his life.
I could have gone to Harvard, but no, my dad wanted me to go to community college.
Yeah. Thanks for your service, Mr. Morris, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, big shout out to Joseph Morris, Jr., by the way, not to senior because I never met him. But you were saying.
So, you absolutely can build generational wealth. You have to have a strategy. You have to have a plan. And you got to have discipline. You got to save money. If you save it and you're smart with it, invest it, you'll grow generational wealth. The biggest challenge is that, again, our culture is all about buying things and keeping up with the Joneses and, you know, all that bullshit. So, you know, the challenge is that most people can, but they don't. Right.
Well, I want to take a big view of this and then kind of come back to where we're at now.
Yeah.
Because you and I were having a conversation like Marty Reed, you know, Marty from Frog Hauling, Spitfire, right? So I always say, don't ask me certain things.
Calmest person I've ever met.
Yeah. He'll say, before we start, don't ask me anything controversial. I got a business to run. And then I go, how was your day? And the Democrat, you know, that kind of thing.
Let me tell you about these sons of bitches.
But he said something to me that, you know, when we talk about the top 1%, right?
Yes.
Now, here's the way I looked at it. Instead of looking at people that I'm on par with, The Rock, a Robert De Niro, I looked at what is the 1% in this state of Ohio. And it turns out it's $19,000 in a rusty shotgun. It's like, really, I think it's like 363 or whatever. It's not an unattainable number. It is an unattainable number if you are employed by somebody else. Correct. You have to be really great at your craft.
You either have to be a doctor, dentist, lawyer, a white collar professional, financial advisor. I'm not there yet.
Right.
But you either have to be in a white collar profession, salespeople make a lot of money, or you have to create something. You have to create a business. You got to solve a need. You got to have a company that you employ other people. I mean, that's really the only way to do that.
But here's what you will hear, that the 1% are evil, because we only talk about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. We don't talk about what they started or what they're doing. We just say, the media says, well, stop putting rockets into space. Hey, man, if it's my money and I earned it.
Let me do whatever the hell I want. So did you see what Elon Musk said?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Tell him.
So Elon Musk, someone was at the World Health Organization, WHO, said, well, Elon Musk could, $6 billion could solve world hunger. And Elon Musk is like, prove it and I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Show me a plan and make it open to make it
show me how it works.
Public.
I'll sell $6 billion worth of my Tesla stock tomorrow and I'll give it to you.
Do you know what else he said? Because they had some snarky response back to him. They said,
pound sand.
Well, they said, we'll meet with you, and talk about that. Almost like you're not going to do it.
Right.
And then he responds, how come you get $8.4 billion already and you can't solve it?
Yeah.
Why would my 6 million, right?
Yeah. What's my 6 billion going to do that your 8.4 can't?
Well, it's funny that there was no response after that.
Yeah, it's weird.
But when we talk about that, people will say, well, that's the 1% don't pay their fair share. What does the 1% pay in taxes in this country?
40.1% of the total tax. Excuse me.
And the bottom 10%?
I'll
give you
28%, I think.
No, bottom 10%.
Oh, no, bottom 10%.
I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with zero.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so it's zero.
I forgot about that.
So you take the
bottom 90 pays 28%.
Correct.
Yes, that's right.
So if you tax them, they're already paying all the taxes anyway.
At this point,
you can't tax the people that don't make any money.
Right.
Right?
It's not fair.
So it's easy to kick this football around and say, well, this and this and that.
Look, at the end of the day, it's all fugazi, man. I
thought you were going to say poppycock.
It's poppycock. I'm not in the 1920s.
I like to use old-timey words.
Man. Yeah, I don't use old-timey words. It's fake. It's fake outrage. It's political slogans. It's campaign promises. I mean, that's all that it is. It tax the top 1% because they can afford it. Well, they already pay 40% of the taxes as it is, man. Like what?
Well, let's talk about this. So I have a client that you're friends with too, that was giving me the example that if the new tax plan went through, you have to tell me if I'm right, because this was his rant. If he makes $400,000, he's already paying, let's just call it 35%.
That's about right.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Once he makes $1 over that in the new proposal, let's say he made $500,000, he paid 35% on 400. Then he pays 60% on the next 100,000, give or take.
Right.
That is a lot, because that means he was successful, and he's, let's just say, being punished for that. I am not what I would say. I hate corporations. Yes. Any corporation, I think you should pay your taxes, but you're being protected because of your campaign contributions, right?
Yes, that's true.
I want to see the small guy win. I want to know a guy that makes $500,000 a year. I'm not envious of him because I know what you had to do to get it.
Right.
When it's Jeff Bezos and he's making money off of his capital gains or his I don't mean capital gains.
Well, but he's not actually, his salary, and this is for not every, but almost every CEO in this country. The vast majority of their salary is stock options,
it's compensation,
restricted stock units, stuff that they don't actually make income on until they sell it.
Right.
And then when they sell it, they're taxed on it. So it looks like, hey, this guy made $30 million because, he got paid a bunch of stock. When the reality is his salary is probably $200,000 or $250,000 or $300,000, something like that, which is still a lot of money. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but people act like these folks that make, millions upon millions of dollars, like it's just cash handed to them.
I think they think they have the cash in their office and they sleep on it.
Right.
Because now they're trying to tax
wiping their ass with it.
Yeah, they're trying to tax unrealized gain.
Yeah.
And it's just like what does that mean? So when they let's say Elon Musk is worth $6 billion this year and next year he's worth $200. Are you going to give it back? Can you imagine the refund?
Yeah. I mean,
so the IRS is not here to give you money back.
Well, let me put it in terms that are realistic. So I know a person that's worth $30 million on paper because he owns 3,000 acres of land in Pickaway County, and it's all farm ground, right? 10,000 an acre, 3,000 acres, $30 million, right? If you tax that unrealized gain because he inherited that land from his parents who worked and slaved for it, you're destroying the family farm. I mean, he has to sell all of it just to pay the damn tax.
Right.
It's insane. It is literally the most insane thing. There's no such thing as family farms. And but I have heard though that they've kicked around the idea of excluding real estate from that unrealized gain thing, which got me thinking. They hate Donald Trump so much they're gonna take out his biggest asset. Why would you do that?
Right. Well, I think a lot of this started in a time period where the people who are telling you that, when you look at where they live, let's say you make $180,000 as a senator, but you have a $4 million house. I don't quite understand that.
Right.
And they go, oh, but he was there 30 years. So he saved every dime he made for 30 years. He saved every dime. He never bought a hot dog. He never did any of that. He just saved $180,000 a year.
Maybe or
but you see what I mean? Like Bernie Sanders,
Canada of the Far East has probably helped that out.
Well, that's true, but I'm also saying like Bernie Sanders has 2 homes valued in Vermont at $9 million.
Yeah,
a guy who's saying that I have to pay more taxes,
right?
Not because I'm in the 1%, but just everybody else has to pay more. Bernie, sell those houses. That's $9 million you could contribute.
I love the joke. It's so cold, and it got so cold that Bernie Sanders had his hands in his own pockets.
Yeah. Well, it also goes to and you'll get this reference. I don't think we've ever had this conversation, but when people want to go after corporations and get more money out of them, and people are like, I'm not going to support this and all this others. Your 401k and your Roth and everything else is based on big corporations.
Right. Yeah.
So if they have to pay more money, they don't produce the same return on investment. So you're losing either way.
You know it.
You should be happy if you own an Amazon stock that they're doing well.
And everybody owns it. If you have a 401k and you have money in it, you own Amazon and Apple and Microsoft and Facebook and Netflix. Right. You own all of that stuff.
Right.
Why wouldn't you want to see them succeed?
Well, that's the thing is that again, people now look at corporations. What I find funny is media is all corporate.
Yes.
It's all owned by a corporate entity. You trust that, and then that entity is attacking people and still accepting money for the commercials to run
100%.
As they're being attacked.
Yeah.
If you ever sat back and paid attention, you go, what kind of whacked out shit am I watching here? Like, I'm participating in this grand experiment where they're talking about Bezos is selfish for getting a rocket. First of all, it counts if you get into space, right? I think it's like the high school rule. You get to third base, it counts. I don't need him to go to Venus. I just need to know that he cupped that ass a minute. Is that fair to say?
100%.
I hope that NASA uses that as
That's assault, brother.
We made it all the way to Saturn. We cupped that ass. But what bothers me about it is that it's not like he's doing this for fun. He has a rocket company.
Right.
So, and if he's willing to go up there, he's taking a chance. Like Elon Musk.
Yeah, that shit could have went sideways.
Well, when they did it with William Shatner, I thought, oh my God, if they kill Captain Kirk, that'll stop the space program again.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you can because it's privatized, right?
All right. Yeah. I guess does NASA exist anymore? I mean, I know
it does, around, but I think what they're doing is outsourcing things originally to SpaceX. But SpaceX was putting its own money out.
How pissed do you think Lockheed Martin and Boeing and all these, all these defense contractors were when they're like, yeah, we're not going to pay $2 billion for a rocket anymore.
Well, if you think about it,
go over here to the guy doing it.
We weren't going that
tenth of the cost.
We weren't going that far anymore, right? So the space race was kind of over once everybody did it.
Sure.
And then when Trump, here's the funniest thing. When Space Force was announced, everyone's like, this guy's an idiot. And then you find out everybody else has a version they just didn't announce it. Like China's been trying to put people up there since Goldfinger was out in the movie theater. And like everybody else is doing this thing. And it's like, oh, now we need it. I want one of those
most
uniforms.
Fascinating thing that I thought was when Biden was elected, I'm like, surely he's going to get rid of the Space Force. Oh, fuck no. They've doubled down.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here? Did he know something? Like, is there something out there that we don't know about? Like,
the UFO stories keep coming out.
Yeah.
Right? I love the fact we started with, can you build generational wealth? And now we're talking about aliens. Just remember, save your money, cup that ass.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's funny the amount of money, like we in perpetuity just advanced the military spending. We upped it another 40% in perpetuity. So we are not fighting any. Well, we are. We just don't talk about it.
Right.
But we're in other countries occupying their area.
We're in other countries that we're not in.
Right. We left Afghanistan. Hey, you know what? I was trying to get on eBay because I was like, I wonder if I could buy a Hummer from over there. And because they got all of our stuff, right?
Does Afghanistan have like a form of
my question is like, do they accept PayPal? Does the Taliban take PayPal? Because it would be amazing if it's like you just got that receipt. I wouldn't even care if I got the vehicle. Like I paid $34,000 for a Humvee. Because how do we get it here? It'd have to go on one of those container things that's going to be stuck in California.
Yeah, you wouldn't get it for a good 5 to 10 years.
It wouldn't matter. I could get a deal. You can't buy a used car here anyway.
That's true.
How the hell did we get on that?
I have no idea.
You always like veer off. It's completely
it's
your
always
fault.
my fault.
But again, yeah, I thought it was funny that I thought Space Force was like, that's going to go away. And they're like, no, we got to do it. And then China's trying to build again.
But they're not talking about it. You know, like the news media is not going out like, hey, why didn't Biden get rid of this goofy nonsense thing that Trump did? They cut everything else Trump tried to do. Why not that? Oh,
do you ever think that Trump it would be like us getting in there with a lot more money and a lot more Russian wives, but we got in there they said, Mr. President, we need to show these things just so you know what's there. And he went, aliens, shit. And so he's like, we got to build a military.
I guarantee you that's exactly what happened.
But I feel like they've told these other presidents and they're like, okay, I'm just going to keep this to myself. And he was like, aliens.
Well, no, all the other presidents were already in politics, so they already knew about it.
Oh, that's true.
You know, it's the big club and you and I aren't in it.
I feel like Area 51, it's almost like they told you like an outlandish story, kind of like the Slender Man, like don't go into the woods by yourself. And then you find out there's really a guy that lives in the woods. I feel like he was trying to tell the truth on that. And he's like, guys, you don't even understand what's out there. I want to know if can you sign up just for the Space Force?
That's a great
I think
question.
you have to go into the Air Force and then you have to
imagine, but I don't know. Like, we should research that and see if they have why don't they have recruiting stations for Space Force? Why isn't the Space Force?
Why don't we do it right now?
Yeah,
we're doing a show on YouTube,
right?
Join Space Force. Cup that ass.
I will say this though, because I'm going to tie everything together here because
I hope to God that you do.
Yeah. So generational wealth, you need to start saving and building it up because at some point you're going to need to get off this planet.
Okay. Another great point.
Like every billionaire is trying to leave this planet.
Doesn't that weird you out that these people are not trying to buy land?
No,
they're actually getting rid of properties as though there's something coming and they're out of here.
Yep.
The global warming summit. What I loved about that is everybody in that room from every country,
Their own private plane.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
Well, that was hilarious, but it's like, can you imagine how boring that is? When Biden fell asleep in the thing, I thought I would too, because I listened to what he was listening to at the time. It put my ass to sleep. I couldn't believe
It's
it.
the worst.
Oh. Okay, so to join Space Force, I'm going to be 46 next week. Can I just join it, and they just kind of grandfather me in?
Literally grandfather. You would be the grandfather, and
I need the weekends off though.
Separate process is being developed, but the best way to join is through the Air Force and Air Force recruiter.
I'm not doing all that shit.
yeah.
I can just buy the shirt. I don't care.
There you go. Just buy the shirt.
I don't want to put in all that effort. Can you imagine? All right, we're going to run 3 miles. No, you're going to run 3 miles a day. Where's my desk? How do I get up there to Xenu? I'm glad that we literally went so far afield.
I know.
So if people were looking at this and they're saying, because again, what was it that the cost of living has gone up 15% this year, the cost of goods, but people got a 5% raise.
Yeah. So I think Social Security went up 5.9%.
But cheese is now
overall inflation was about 5.6, but that's all inflation. That's not just specific inflation that people are on Social Security are spending, right? So most people, if you're on Social Security, you're not looking to build a new house, or you're typically you're not in that phase of life where you're spending money on a lot of fuel for traveling back and forth to work, or from the price of lumber skyrocketed, stuff like that. But food definitely went up.
I can't believe it. What I think is funny is, and again, you and I are middle of the line guys, right? So we wouldn't consider ourselves Democrats or Republican.
No,
we're going to cherry pick what works for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to ride the fence, baby.
Yeah. I mean, look, it is what it is, man. Like I am fiscally conservative and somewhat socially liberal. I mean, there's certain things socially that I believe conservatively, but not all.
And I believe that we should be able to attack each other on the streets if we feel like it because we're having a bad day. That's how far afield I'm going to go. But I'm seeing people that were so pro Biden, and I didn't want to forget that, because I think there were people that voted for Trump or voted for Obama or voted for Ron or whoever it might have been. And you always get that buyer's remorse. Like you go, oh, God, Trump is the only one I've ever seen that people literally have outfits to wear, and they're wearing it, the church.
Man, yeah, it's crazy.
But I'm seeing the people that voted for Biden are so upset about the cost of gas and food and all these other things. And it makes me wonder, when it hits you like that, do you go, God damn it, why did I do that? Or do you just kind of I thought they would just kind of hide,
I don't know, man. Have you ever made a decision that you're like, ooh, that was a bad one? What did you do when you
got married?
Well, yeah.
Listen, I didn't make a decision as bad as, since we're running out of time, I totally forgot to say this. You ever been in a really super important meeting and shit your pants? Because that happened with the Pope. Did you not think that?
I never heard this. What?
You didn't hear that?
No.
Biden met with the Pope, but he was delayed because he had a bathroom accident.
Wardrobe malfunction?
Yeah. And if you see the picture of him, he kind of looks like, when you had the flu and it's but it's team picture day, so I'm going to come in for it and your eyes are all baggy.
You're all gaunt and white.
Yeah. And I thought, when's the last time I did that? I was probably 2, but I wasn't making any big decisions.
Right.
That's the point where I'm saying you can't see this stuff every day. It's kind of like Trump with the P-tape. You can't walk around and then you find out that's false. The problem is no one's saying this one, he got leaky drawers, and they're not saying that didn't happen.
Man, somebody done shit on the wall.
I should tell that story on this show. Do I have enough time to tell that story? So Charles, when I used to work in radio, this guy's 6'8", 300 pounds, and he talked like a guy that should be running a barbecue joint. And somebody before you would go home for the day, everybody would make that last pit stop before you're going to get in your car and get into traffic. And he opens one of the stall doors and he's looking up on the wall almost by the ceiling, and there is a Rorschach painting coming down. And he looks at it and goes, man, somebody done shit on the walls. And there was a kid that I worked with who literally like just sound like a surfer dude. And he just looks at looks at the wall and he goes, and he couldn't stop laughing. But then Charles' head starts going down like he's sad because he's got to reach up there. And my boss walks through the next thing and goes, what's going on? And he looks at him and goes, man, somebody done shit on the walls. And that story is my favorite story from 15 years in radio.
I remember that story every Wednesday when we're in our networking group at the IHOP on Stringtown Road. That bathroom. Oof.
We should say if you're in Columbus, Ohio, and you want to come every Wednesday, just don't go to the bathroom there.
Just don't go to the bathroom.
AM Spirit. Just contact.
If you're going to, please don't shit on the walls.
Yes. Contact us at spaceforce.com. You've been listening to Broad Street Radio. We will see you next week.